Hello, how are you? Welcome to my channel. My name is Ruth and today I'm doing a continuation of my series, my Love It, Pan It, Declutter It. Today I am going on to blushes. Now this has taken me a while because I have quite a lot of blush in my collection. I would say maybe 3 years ago, I wasn't that pushed about blush. It was fine, you know, I had maybe one or two in my collection. That's escalated quite a bit. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying discovering new blushes and formulas and things like that that I enjoy and that I suppose can change, you know, a makeup look or can go with certain eyeshadows or lipsticks or stuff like that. I think I very much went for a generic kind of nude shade that would just go with everything. And now I kind of play around a little bit more. But yeah. So today is powder blushes, so I will be doing a video separately on cream, and I will link below as well all the previous ones of these. So I've done bronzers, cream and powder bronzers, I've done highlighters, I've done face powder, so I've loaded, so I'll link them all below for you. And basically I go through my whole collection, use them for, you know, a period of time under the same conditions, so the same foundation, you know, everything is the same bar the blush, and see how they perform and decide then whether it's one of my absolute favorites and I love it and I'm keeping it. It's okay, I'm not mad about it, but I don't hate it, so I'm going to pan it, or no, this doesn't work for me, I don't like it, I'm not going to force myself to use it, so it's going to be decluttered. So first and foremost, I'm going to go through these kind of, because I have quite a few from different brands, so I'll kind of put them together, if that makes sense, as opposed to going colour or that. You'll see as I go along. First up is Essence, and the Essence blushes are very reasonable. They're all around under the €5 mark approximately. You get about 5 grams of product. The shades that I have are Befitting. Down that one first. So this is Befitting. So this is quite a mauvey kind of neutral toned blush. We have the they are called the blush. That's just what the range is called, the blush. And you know what? I kind of appreciate that, as opposed to these companies that call their items 300 million words of a title, and it's just like, oh, I've lost the will, I don't care anymore. This is the Matte Touch Blush, and this is in the shade 10, Peach Me Up. Very pretty shade. I actually use this as an eyeshadow in summertime as well. It's always a summer shadow. And then this one is in the shade 20, Bespoke, and this is the blush again, that range. This I find to be quite, it's nearly what do they call them, bronzers, do you know, where it's a combination of bronzer and blush together. And this, it's not matte, I suppose it's satin really, kind of a satin finish. So you can see there it's quite a warmish kind of blush. This one is the more kind of your basic kind of pinky nude, and then the other one, the peach one, is just that, it's a matte peach, and it is very much matte. The other two are a bit more satin in their finish, but all three are very pretty. So what I had said about these, so as you can see, the plastic is quite, you know, it's basic. We all see this, that the likes of Wet n Wild, Essence, products like that, their packaging can break. You have to be careful with them because they're very flimsy. There's no scent to any of those. They're all cruelty free. Essence is a cruelty free brand. So what I've said about Befitting and Bespoke, so that is these two here. So I have said both have a satin bordering on glowy finish. Befitting is a lovely deep rosy pink, and Bespoke is more like a bronzy blush. Both are nicely pigmented and blend really easily. So kind of, one is definitely more a winter shade for me, that's this one, the Befitting, and the Bespoke is more of a summer shade. But I love both of those. They're fantastic blushes. I mean, what you get, 5 grams worth of product, and it's just, that's a lovely size of a blush as well. I'll come to some here that are like 10 grams. Come on, 10 grams of blush, where are you after? Who's going to use that? I don't know, and some people will, I suppose. With regards to the matte, the Peach Me Up one, I have said this is matte but doesn't look flat. Very pretty and pigmented. Forgotten how nice it is on, and also works as an eyeshadow. So you know the way, like, when you introduce loads of new items, some old favourites kind of get pushed to the back and you forget about them. And this has really helped me rediscover them, which has been fantastic. So all 3 Essence blushes are going to be staying, and they're all Love It. So I'm delighted, because it's great to have Love It's that are in such a budget friendly category. My little notebook is over here. So next up are the NYX blushes, or NYX, however you want to pronounce it. So I have 3 of these. These are the Sweet Cheeks Glow blushes. So we have Fig, which is this one here. So it's kind of got a purpley kind of look to it. We have Risky Business, which is this one here. Very nice, pretty kind of, what would I call that, like a mauvey kind of colour maybe. And then this one is, what are you called, Daydream. Very peachy kind of shade. I will do these on this hand for you. These are extremely shiny blushes, not shimmery now, there's no glitter or anything like that in them, but they're very much shiny blushes, and that is something I've discovered, or I suppose I've started leaning into in recent years, is I really like a shiny blush, especially in the summertime. I think it's just something. So that we have the 3 shades there for you. What I have said about these, so these are all, they're a bit dearer obviously than Essence. NYX kind of is pushing up there in the price, we all know, we've all noticed that in recent years. So they're just under the €15 mark. You get 5 grams of product, so the same as the Essence ones. They're cruelty free. Packaging is plastic as well, but it's a bit more solid. There's a bit more substance to it. You know, you feel like it's not going to break as easily as the Essence ones. There's, I said a faint scent, but no, there isn't really. I thought there was a scent to them, but there isn't. And the finish on them, I'm saying, is a high shine finish. So, with regards to Fig, what I've said about this is, unfortunately, while I love this formula, this shade makes me look like my cheek is bruised. So it's just the wrong shade for me, which is a pity, because it is quite beautiful, and it's different. It's quite unusual. It's very, I've nothing else like it in my collection, but it just, on my cheeks, it just gives me that kind of, you know, instead of blushed, I look a bit bruised. So unfortunately, that's a Declutter. It's just not a match for me colour-wise. Risky Business, beautiful shade on me. Don't need a highlight when I'm wearing this. It's such a glowy but beautiful blush, and I said it's easy to blend. So, you know, with these, I think day-to-day use. Now, it's different when you're on, you know, on a camera kind of setting, or even a photograph maybe. It doesn't look as obvious, but if you were out just in normal daylight, it would be very intense to have a highlight and a kind of glowy blush like that, for my preference. So yeah, I love it, but I wouldn't wear highlight with it, but it is beautiful and it is a love it. And then this one, Daydream, what I've said is I like to use a dense brush. This for me is more like a peach highlighter or blush topper. It's a bit faint in colour on its own. So if you can see it there, that's it there. It's quite subtle in its pigmentation, and I'd either need to put something maybe like this, the matte peach blush from Essence, and maybe put this on as a topper. Beautiful, be gorgeous together. Or sometimes I actually use it as a glowy, like if I did this and this would nearly act as my highlighter as well. So maybe I'd put the blush a bit lower and I'd bring this maybe just a tiny bit higher, not quite as high as highlight, but a bit higher on the cheek, and then they work beautifully together. So what I've put down is I've put it down for Pan It in summertime. So see, it's hard to say, because I do, when I use it like that, it is beautiful, but I suppose for its intention as a blush, it doesn't really work for me. So that's kind of why I put it in the Pan It kind of section. But you know, I'm not in any rush to be getting it out of my collection. So we have out of this, we have a Declutter, we have a Pan It, and we have a Love It. Next up are my Milani blushes. So I better take off some swatches here. So I have the Milani Baked Powder Blush. I love this newer packaging. So they seem to have kind of changed their packaging a bit. And one is kind of black and gold, and one is this older kind of. And this is more solid, and it doesn't have that stupid brush in it, which is just fantastic. I hate that when they have the little mirror underneath and stuff. I don't use it. Maybe some people do. Anyway, not what we're here for. So Dolce Pink Baked Powder Blush. So that's the pink one. I have the iconic Luminoso Baked Powder Blush. It's 05. That is Luminoso. And I have number 3 Berry Amore, which is this one here. There we go. And see what I'm saying? You have this crap going on. I have no time for it. They do it with the physician's form as well. It just irritates me. And I just give you the blush. I just want the blush. We don't want bulky packaging. Thank you very much. So again, they're just under the €15 mark. Now the packaging, this is way more substantial again. You know, you feel like you've got a really good solid product in this. The older ones maybe a little bit more flimsy, but this one has a really solid kind of feel to it, which I really enjoy. 3.5 grams of product. So you would think that, you know, this is 5 grams. It looks smaller, or the same even. This is quite a bit less. 3.5 grams of product. They're cruelty free. No scent to them, and I would say these all have quite a glowy finish to them. So, Berry Amore is this chap here. I'll give it a swatch. And Dolce Pink is this one. When Milani finally came to Ireland, I was just so excited because Luminosa is so iconic. You know, everyone talks about it like it's the most amazing thing in the world. So I was just so excited to get my hands on these blushes and try them out. It's a bit powder. There they are there. So 3, you know, nice bit of difference between them, so they're not all the same. So Berry Amore, which is this guy here. So what I've said about this one is I don't love it on me. Colour isn't flattering on me. It made my skin look very textured. So I just am not in love with this one, this Berry Amore one. Just, you know what, with my complexion, it just didn't work out for me, and that's okay. That's, you know, that happens. So this one is a Declutter. Dolce Pink is this chap here. This is a very pretty shade on. Nice pigment, blends easily, lovely golden glow. Happy with how it looked on. Wouldn't need a cheek highlight with this for day-to-day wear. So similar to the NYX ones, you know, you just don't need, I don't think, that level, because it just gives you a lovely shine with it. So it's that one there. So that is a love it for me, and a summer shade, I would say. And the same goes with this, it's a summer shade as well. This is the Luminosa one. I said iconic shade, very pretty summer shade. Again, very glowy. Probably would need a highlighter for day-to-day use, and that's fine. I'm good with that. That doesn't bother me in the least. So with my 3 Milani blushes, I am decluttering the Berry Amore. That one is gone, and I love these two. These will be staying. Now next up we have the Catrice. Like, this is what I'm saying now. How many grams have you got? Catrice, I've written down somewhere, don't I? 9 grams. 9 grams of blush, people. Who needs it? Do you need it? Because I sure as hell don't. I'll just take off my swatches here again. So I got this, I think it was last summer. In fairness, I do enjoy Catrice products a lot. I do. And if you didn't know, Essence and Catrice are actually the same company, the same umbrella company. So it stands to reason that I enjoy kind of both of their products. So this is in the shade 10 Blooming Hibiscus, just under €10, 9 grams. They're cruelty free. Plastic is definitely more solid than the Essence again, but you do end up paying a bit more for Catrice over Essence. And I said there's no scent to it. So again, this is quite a glowy blush. It's almost duochrome, I said. And maybe you will see, maybe you won't. So it looks like it's got peach base and then a gold kind of top on it. I know it's always hard to show duochromes on camera. It's an interesting blush, I have to say. There's no glitter in it, which is great. It's just pure glowiness. And what I have said, I use a blush brush with it. Beautiful peach gold colour, very pretty on the skin, and no need for highlight. And again, I love it as a summer shade. So I definitely leaned hard into summer shades last year. I was just mad about the peach glowy blushes. I just wanted them all. And unfortunately, I bought quite a lot. And it has left me with very little winter shades, but I'm not buying them. I'm just not at the moment, because I need to... Yeah, blush has been one of those sections of my inventory that exploded this year. So that is a lot. Now, these are 3 of my oldest blushes. These were a palette that I purchased at TK Maxx, and it, I was thrilled when I saw it. I was like, oh my god, what a find. And it was the Too Faced Love Flush Blush palette. These are the little guys, little hearts that were in it, gorgeous little hearts. I depotted them because the packaging was such a nightmare to have. 2 of them I got rid of because they just didn't suit me colour wise, but these were the 3 I kept, and they're actually quite lovely. And I know now Too Faced have brought back these style of blush or type of blush in the little heart packaging, but I have to be honest, Too Faced is kind of one of those brands that I'm taking a break from at the moment, because I just think they're not a very pleasant people, it would seem like. I don't really want to be lying in their pockets, or Estee Lauders for that matter. But anyway, these are the 3 blushes here that I own. I said about them, they're beautiful shades, nicely pigmented, but doesn't grip to areas. So even though they're matte, do you know there are some matte blushes can kind of catch onto dry patches or just seem to stick in certain areas, and it's hard to blend them out. I've never found that with these. I said they blend really nicely, very pretty matte blushes. So these I think next year will be focus blushes for me. I'm already working on the Revolution blush palette this year. That's my oldest one, and this will be my next oldest. So that's this year's focus. These will probably be next year's focus. But I do love them. They're very pretty. I said I want to pan all 3 because they're very old, and bought in TK Maxx, that were probably very old at that stage as well. So, but yeah, they're very, very pretty. And if Too Faced wasn't such a shitty brand, I might consider purchasing the, you know, full-size ones. But not at the moment anyway. I don't need them. Next up is the Juvia's Place blush in Serafina. This is it here. And this is, and again, you see, oh look, it's a peach blush. Yes, it is. Again, this is under €10. You get 10 grams of product here, guys. 10 grams. I mean, I appreciate value for money and all that, but you know, 10 grams. Where? What? No. No scent, cruelty free. Cardboard packaging, but quite solid cardboard packaging. It's quite, I like it. It's quite nice. I like it. I'd like if more brands did that actually. It's probably more sustainable, I would have thought. And I said the finish, it has a very slight sheen, so it looks quite matte in it, but when you have it on, I don't know, it kind of gives a little bit of a sheen to the skin, if you can see it there. So I said I thought this was going to be very pigmented, but it was easy to blend. It looks like it's matte, but there's a slight sheen to it. So I said it's nothing amazing. So, you know, when I compare it to my Essence and my Catrice and Milani, you know, the other brushes I have, I just don't feel like it stands up really as good as them. So I've put it in the Panette category, which, let's be honest, that would be a serious feat, but, you know, one can hope and dream that it might happen. Next up is from Gosh. I believe Gosh is a Danish brand. I don't know if you get it in America so much. And even here in Ireland, you'll get the odd pharmacy that has it as their brand, if you know what I mean. A lot of our pharmacies here might have 2 brands, and that's their... Sorry, my apologies, I seem to have a hair. But this is the I'm Blushing blush in the shade Flirt. So again, under €10, 5.5 grams. They are cruelty free, a good solid plastic. No, you know, it seals nicely. I like that when they clip, and it, you know, it feels fairly hard pressed and, you know, solid. And I said the finish on it is slightly satin again, kind of similar to the one from, see, it's so faint, you won't even probably see this. And this is my problem with this, you just can't see it. I have it there next to the Juvia's Place one. So what I've said about this is a tad insipid, not much pigment, and doesn't really build up much. I used it as a peach eyeshadow and it worked fine, but I have plenty and better matte peach eyeshadows and blushes. So there's just no need for it in my collection. I just don't have a purpose for it. So I feel like it can move on. So that is a declutter for me as well. So we're trucking along nicely. Like I said, I have quite a lot of blushes, so you know this might be a little bit of a long video. I hope you don't mind. Next up is from Kiko. Lovely packaging on it. This is the Ocean Feel blush in 01 Sun Kissed. 7.5 grams of product, so again a considerable amount of product, but a lovely, I love Kiko's packaging. It's always so solid and so pretty. It's just really beautiful packaging. 7.5 grams of product, as I said. It's cruelty free. Good solid packaging, very glowy, extremely glowy is what I've written down. The scent, yeah, a vanilla scent, but unfortunately I've had this for quite some time and I think it's on the turn. You always notice that with Kiko products. I don't know if maybe the product is on the turn or not, or if it's a case that the scent that they use in their products changes more quickly than others. Does that make sense? Because I always feel like Kiko products go bad a bit quicker than others. I'll give you a swatch of it. I mean, this is as intense nearly as the NYX one. That's kind of nearly, it doubles up as a highlighter, but it's a bit darker, so it's kind of hard to use it as a highlighter. So what I've said about this, extreme golden glow, too much for what I like. A very pretty shade, but the shimmer is just too intense for me. And because, like I said, it's that bit darker, I can't get away with it as a kind of a blush topper or as a highlight kind of hybrid product, if that makes sense. So I'm actually going to, because the smell is starting to change on it as well, I'm going to actually declutter that one and let it go. Next up is a very iconic one. It is from NARS and it is a little mini of the NARS Orgasm Blush. These brands with these names, I mean, really, are we 12? Are we 12? Do we need to be using words like orgasm and better than sex and, you know, all these words where you're just like, I'm cringing for you. I mean, it's like you're trying to be down with the kids. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Anyhow, here it is, the iconic Orgasm Blush from NARS. I think this is under €20. It feels very dry to the touch, I must say. 3.5 grams in this. They're not cruelty free. The packaging is black, but is that kind of velvet touch, or what do they call it, smooth touch or something? It just gets so marked up and so, bleh, I hate it. No scent, and I said the finish on it is very glowy. I'm going to put it here next to the Kiko one just so you can see. It's a little bit, I think it's a little bit lighter, is it? Yeah. Kind of nearly has a pink base to it, doesn't it, compared to the Kiko one? That's it there. So what I've said is very pigmented and glowy. Don't like wearing highlighter with it. As the day wore on, I admired how caught the light. I don't love it. I have others that I prefer. So this is a Panette product for me. I just, even if our NARS became cruelty free in the morning and I could go out and buy the big size of it, I'd have no interest. It's just not worth it to me. It's fine, but I have others here that I prefer instead of it. We're getting there, guys. We've only got 4 more to go. Woohoo! So next up is another kind of fairly iconic one, and one I suppose that was touted as a dupe for the NARS Orgasm for years. And it is the Wet n Wild Colour Icon bronzer blush in pearlescent pink. So it's in this old school. I know they've changed the packaging now and it's much better, which is fantastic. But this is the old packaging, which is very flimsy, and this is it here. It's under €5, 5.85 grams of product. They are no longer cruelty free, in my opinion anyway. No scent to it and very glowy. So I'll give you a swatch of it. Doesn't feel bad to the touch, in fairness to it. So this is it here. So what I have said is good pigment, easy to blend, pretty on the cheeks. Only problem is that it has micro glitter instead of kind of a sheen or shimmer to it. So as the day wore on, for me anyway, I noticed that there was micro glitter kind of more left on my cheeks than when I had applied it in the morning. I hadn't noticed, but as the day went on, I noticed it and kind of fall out and stuff like that. So I said I don't enjoy that aspect. I love glitter in my eyes, but not all over my face. Just a preference, you know. So for me, I'm just not willing to put up with it. I mean, it's just, I don't need it in my collection. So I'm going to declutter the Wet n Wild Colour Icon. A very pretty shade, and if you don't mind the glittery aspect, the kind of micro glitter that might fall out down along as the day goes on, then it's beautiful, and it's, you know, it's so cheap. But it's not cruelty free either, which is another reason that I'm not keen to keep it around. Last, but by no means least, we have 3 e.l.f. blushes. So I have 2 of these little duos, these guys, and I have 1 of the primer infused blushes. So let's talk about the primer infused one first, because that's what I've written down first. So this is, I'll open it up for you. Sometimes they write this, they put a tiny sticker on it, and they did in this case. Always Silly is the shade. So this is Always Silly, under €10, 10 grams of product. Again, where are you after, lads? They are cruelty free. Plastic is fairly solid, but you know, it could break if you're not careful with it. No scent to it, and a subtle shimmer. I'll give you a swatch. Feels lovely to the touch, kind of almost very smooth. You know, it doesn't feel dry at all, I have to say. That is what it looks like there. And I said very pigmented, blended easily enough. It looks very pretty on the skin. The shimmer is extremely subtle, almost looks matte, but with a healthy glow, which is a beautiful way to have a blush. You know what I mean? That way then you can wear your highlighters with it, or your blush top or whatever, without feeling you're overdoing it. But if you just wanted to wear it on its own, it looks lovely, really healthy on the cheeks. So this is a love it for sure. Really beautiful product. Then with these 2 guys, we have, which one are you? Pomegranate. And if you saw, I had this in, was it Pan What May, I think, Project Pan, and I just fell in love with this utterly and completely. I just think it is beautiful. Again, feels lovely to the touch, maybe a little drier. And then you have this. My only thing with these is I don't love these sides. I don't feel like they match, if that makes sense. That is the 2 there. So you can see how golden that highlighter shade is. And that's just too dark for me completely. But I'd need to know, I'd need someone with a darker skin to tell me, you know, does it work for them? Do both of these work together for you? Because this blush works beautifully for me in the winter time. What I have said, I have it there next to the primer infused one. What I've said about it is, adore it. Perfect autumn winter shade for me. Very flattering, nicely pigmented, and blends easily. Nice blush topper. That's the shimmery one, but not as a highlight. It's too dark for me, and it gives me a cast. Okay, so that is that one. And the other one I have then is, what are you called? Are you called watermelon? You are. You're called watermelon, which I think is odd, because I would have thought this is more watermelon. Maybe not. This is it here. So this one I don't love as much. A very meh shade, I've said. Doesn't really show up on me. Highlight is pretty enough, but I have enough highlighters that I prefer. So you know what I mean? It just, I'll give you a swatch of it here. This is kind of like the Gosh one in that it doesn't really show up. You really have to try and pack it on. So it's supposed to be a good one to pen, because you need a lot of it. But yeah, just when I compare it to the pomegranate one, it just doesn't hold a candle to it, so you can barely see it there, like, and I really tried to pack that on. Like I said, the highlighter shade, yes, it is very pretty, but I don't want to keep this just for the highlighter shade. I have tons of highlighters that I absolutely love, so you know, I don't need to be keeping on to that. So I'm going to declutter this one, but these 2 are loves for me. And that is it. That is my single powder blush collection. Any there that you have, that you love, that I've maybe decluttered, or that I love, that you think, ew, I hate that blush, it's disgusting, because I'd love to know that. That always intrigues me. Or there's some here that are my favourites, that are your favourites. Are there some here that you're thinking, oh, I must try that one? Do me a favour first, go check your collection and see if you have something similar, because it's quite possible that you do. Through this, I've seen I have about 5 blushes that are the same shade. So you go into the chat and think, oh, I've nothing like that in my collection. Liar, liar, your pants is on fire. You certainly do. But yeah, I just seem to have, blush was my thing last year. I was just like, oh, give me all the blushes. I want to try all the blushes. So we're calling a halt to the blushes at the moment, and we're just going to try and focus in on what I have, and you know, really just try and get some good use on them. But that is it for today. How many did I declutter? 2, 4, 6 decluttered. So not bad. You know what I mean? I'm not getting rid of ones just for the sake of getting rid of them. They're ones that just for whatever reason just don't work for me, and I have plenty similar to them that work better. I hope you understand and appreciate that. I know some people love declutters. They love a declutter, and to be fair, I love to watch a declutter as well. But as I've got more into panning, I kind of see it sometimes as a bit kind of like, oh, that's a bit wasteful, isn't it? Now, some of these I will be able to pass on to my niece because she is a makeup artist, and she'll be able to sanitize them and hopefully use them on clients. Some of them are a bit old, I won't be able to do that, but the newer ones I will be able to do that with. But yeah, that is it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. The next one I'll be doing in this series will be my cream blushes. I'm working on them at the moment. But yeah, hopefully I'll chat to you in the next one. Take care. Bye. Slán.